We just got finished giving our video game hot takes. But now, we're going to judge the internets. All right?
Okay.
Y'all have had your chance to hear us
I
and
like
yell at
this.
us. Well, it's our time to yell at you. All right? So I've got a couple hot takes here that I've grabbed from Reddit. You know, the bastion of terrible
The best
terrible
place
takes.
on the internet to be.
I sorted by controversial. So we're going to get some nice ones in here. And we are going to judge whether these hot takes, do we agree? Do we disagree? You ready for the first Reddit hot take? The first one, and this is from 4 months ago, just so there's some recent, we'll have some recent stuff in here. Being able to play games online has done irreparable damage to the average quality of games. Agree or disagree?
Oh, I think that's a really good hot take, actually. Because I kind of agree, I kind of don't. That's a pretty.
I'm
gonna
go disagree.
I think that. I think that there's kind of an agree. I'm semi on that. I think that because they're online, it means that developers have gotten away with bad things, like updating their games after release because they didn't put it out fully in the first place. And they're like, we'll just update it a few months down the line and fix all the problems later. Back in the day, right, you had to get that thing on a disc and get it, or cartridge, and get it to people good first time, or you're cooked. And when Bungie did it, I think in the old Marathon days, they screwed theirs up. They had to resend out the discs
Myth
again
2.
To all the
Myth
people
2.
that bought it because they messed it up. Yeah. So it was Myth.
It was
thank
basically
you,
a
yes.
bug that would delete your
I
entire
think there's a
directory
level of truth
from your
to that.
PC. Your entire PC
shit.
would just be bricked.
Yeah. So I think that there's I think the multiplayer online has been so important to the gaming space that it's like it's a necessary part of gaming. But I think that developers have taken the piss and started doing some really bad habits.
I think over time, yes, because if you look, especially nowadays with online multiplayer games, they pale in comparison to what came before. However, a lot of the online stuff, like, again, I'm sorry to bring it up, but Halo had a lot of revolutionary stuff when it was online. Halo 2's multiplayer basically made Xbox Live alongside Battlefront 2, and then Halo 3 Reach continued to improve it. Also, Call of Duty as well, back in the day on the 360, it would be nothing without the multiplayer for Modern Warfare 2 or for Black Ops. So I feel like the online multiplayer has helped in some way, especially when we're talking about the Xbox 360 PS3 generation. But nowadays, like Nicole said, there's a lot of online stuff that I just don't agree with, like online only, for example, even for single player games to download the updates, or sometimes where you even have to download the entire game from a server, even if you bought the disc. I don't agree with that. I do feel like there is a lot of shady stuff that developers are doing. But at the same time, you can't deny the impact that online multiplayer has had, especially for the console space. So I would disagree with this one.
And the addition of everything being so online, it's also unfortunately killed physical game sales because
That's unrelated to
physical
quality.
media.
That's unrelated to quality. That's unrelated.
No, yeah. I just think in the long run, I think
That's a
that
different
there's
conversation we can
issues.
have
But yeah.
later.
Why do you
about
disagree?
Digital stuff. I disagree because, and this might be rose-tinted glasses, to be honest, but when I think back to when online was first really becoming a big thing, I think of the PS3, Xbox 360 era. And when I think of something like a Halo 3, a Halo Reach, or, I don't know, Ratchet and Clank, I really loved on PS3, and a lot of these big PS3 Last of Us, like these big games that I adore from that time period, whether they have multiplayer or not, I don't remember them coming out as broken as games do today. But that's when games were really implementing online for the first time in this big way. That was the first time we could download patches on a regular. But I feel like games weren't broken as much as they are now. And so I don't think that being online is the reason the quality of games has reduced. I think it's other factors outside of that. So that's why
How
I would
expensive
disagree.
everything is. That's a big factor.
I think, I think economics is a bigger reason.
I know. I see what you mean. No, I do think though that it's just given people an excuse to just take the piss, but it's not online's fault. This is why I'm kind of
There's
like,
a lot
I
more
kind of
factors at
agree,
play than
but
online.
I'm definitely mixed. there's so many complexities. Yeah, I kind of agree with this one. I do have, like, I'm not going to say
mhm.
it's like not 100% like the internet's fault, but it's definitely
It's a factor.
being used badly.
All right. Hot
Awesome.
take number
Yeah.
2. The movement towards design by committee development is in part responsible for the shift in the extreme. Often angry entitlement and misguided expectations we see from the gaming community at large. Review bombs, hyperbolic Reddit posts, emotionally charged YouTuber influencer content. Game designers and directors have their vision. Not liking it doesn't and shouldn't inherently entitle players to voice a shift in that vision.
I think I
agree.
actually kind of
I agree. If
with
I had a
this hot take,
stick
to
that
be
had
honest.
agree or disagree, I would go agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that you know, I'm gonna point to Star Wars briefly on this. I think that so many things in the Star Wars fan base have been negatively affected and by the fact that the community has had such a terrible response to and reaction to things. I think there's a level of you've got to ignore a part of the internet that is being so overly aggressive. Like if they're leading to review bombing, you're letting hate win, and I think that is what we shouldn't be doing at all. Like I can sit there and dislike something to the end of time, right? Like for example, throwing back to mixtape, right? I can dislike mixtape and like what it is, right? I would never, ever, ever want the developers to do anything other than what they want to do. Just because I don't like it for me doesn't mean there's not a huge community that's just less vocal of people who are still enjoying it. So
to summarize
yeah,
this
no,
point,
no,
to like
yeah, I agree.
reword it in a way, I think they're basically saying that because we as players are so like freely able to voice our opinions and our desires and our negatives towards the developers via Twitter or whatever, right? And YouTube and stuff, that has caused game developers as a whole to start listening to those comments and shifting their games, even if that's not what their original vision was, to appease those that negativity and try to like stifle it a little bit. And I think I agree with this point. That's made games worse because I think you need to have a vision. You need to stick to it. If it's bad, it's bad. Whatever. Learn from it. Move on. But I think a big factor of this is I don't think players actually know what they want. I think players think they know what they want, but they don't actually know what they want until they get it and they try it and they find out they actually like it.
Same, actually. I think that I'm definitely one of those people that I can go back and forth so much on things. Like if you put it in front of me, then I might actually love
developers
it.
start to get scared to try new things, to take a risk. I think gaming has become very risk averse because they're scared of the backlash. They're scared of the Reddit post. They're scared of the review bombing, and that can directly correlate to lower sales. And I think that has been that more than games being multiplayer or having patches. Online discourse has done irreparable damage to the quality of games.
I agree and disagree. Okay? So, yes, I think that communities and fan bases, they do have a tendency to just completely go too far with things. A point that I'll give is the Halo community. Again, back to Halo. There she is. She's there. So, the Halo community is always just completely fucking negative all the time. Completely negative. And they're always, like, you go on like an Instagram post from Halo and you'll see the first like 3 comments are all just people going, you ruined the series. Like, that's not constructive. That's just being a bitch, right?
No.
However, there is the off chance as well that you will get developers that do not listen to their fans whatsoever. An example I'll give is Helldivers, for example, right? You look at the Helldivers page on Steam right now, you will see overwhelmingly negative, right? But why? Because Helldivers 2 is so, revered by so many people. People love that game. Well, it's because the developers have not fixed bugs and problems that were present at launch to this day. And this game came out in 2023, I think it did. Now, the community have voiced their opinion time and time again, saying, no, stop adding new stuff, fix the stuff that's broken, and they just completely get ignored.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not that is the developers sticking to what they think is right for the game, as opposed to what the fans think is right for the game, I don't know. But the one thing that I will say about it is that there's this discourse sometimes in communities between fans and the creators. The creators have a vision, and they want to execute that vision. The fans either love it or they hate it. And then sometimes you'll get creators just not paying attention to their fans whatsoever, and then it severely hurts the game, like with Helldivers, or you'll get fans that just completely disrespect the developers and what they're trying to do, like with Halo. So it depends ultimately.
I think there's a level of balance that needs to be found, because people do need to be held accountable. Like when you decide to make your game, I don't know, entirely loot boxes and microtransactions.
So stuff like that
like
needs to be called out. 100%.
Yeah, but I do think that there needs to be a way that we can try and vet this. I don't know what the hell it's going to be, but I do think that there is a serious issue with the loudest voices being the most negative voices, and then people being afraid and backlash, and it's like, I am quite sad actually to see how much hate Mixtape is getting.
Me too.
I am a hater myself, but I don't want people to bully the developers. I think that there's
a difference between valid criticism from people who give a shit. I'll wait.
And
sorry, I just shot some water. Sorry.
Oh shit.
Finish your point. Yeah, pretty much.
There's a difference between valid criticism from someone who genuinely cares and wants the game to be better or the next game to be better, and then people who are just doing online clout and hating for online clout. And that is something that is really hard to parse through right now. And I don't know how you fix that, but it's unfortunate. But I wanted to piggyback off of what Sam said about games having a vision and maybe that not being for everybody, but sticking to that vision, because that's your artistic desire. Because here's another hot take that I found on Reddit: Souls-likes are too hard. Not everyone is willing to put in the time to memorize the movesets or get perfect at parrying and rolling. Give us a difficulty slider, please. Agree,
I feel this is something that you two probably are more inclined to agree on or whatever. I have no stake in this fight whatsoever, but I do think that I have seen how hard these games can be. I do not have the patience for learning and for spending hours and hours.
I used to not, and now I do. Don't worry, it's in there somewhere.
So, yeah,
I'll start. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start.
Right.
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna go.
Please. I'm tilted.
Disagree, because primary reason being what Sam said is that is part of their vision. If you are not every game is made for everybody. That is just the fact. Not every piece of art is made for you, right? I think there's a conversation to be had about accessibility, and that's very important. And I think accessibility is very important to talk about. But I also, I am not a disabled individual, so I can't speak upon every disability. I can't speak upon what their struggles are with games and whatnot, and what would help them and what wouldn't. That's for them to give their conversation. But I tend to believe that a lot of people with disabilities don't want to just be babied. They don't want to be treated like they're infants and been saying, okay, well, because you're disabled, you have to play on easy mode, right? I think there's probably more creative ways to give accessibility than just going the easy mode. And I think a lot of people who want to have those difficulty sliders in the Souls games don't actually give a fuck about accessibility at all. They just want to play the game and are upset that they don't have the patience to do it. And because it's a popular game and they want to be in on it. But I'm sorry, not everything is made for you. Resident Evil is a great franchise. It might not be for me because I'm not a horror person. Dead Space, I gave it a shot. It wasn't for me.
Maybe one day.
It is what it is. That doesn't mean that I need to ask them now. Exactly. That doesn't mean that I need to ask them to now change what they wanted to do with those games to cater to me. It just means that those games aren't for me. And unfortunately for this person who gave this Reddit hot take, dude, Souls games just aren't for you, man. It's okay. Go play something else.
For some reason, the difficulty in Souls-like and Soulsborne games is something that people feel that they can dictate, and they can be like, no, you need to change it because it's not fair. And I'm just like, you wouldn't say that about literally like puzzle games. You wouldn't be like, hey, dumb down the puzzle. It's too hard for me. Like you wouldn't expect a developer to do that for a puzzle game. It's like, but there is often yellow paint in places for that reason, for those people, which is another problem I have. So yeah, Lies of P was something I was talking about earlier. It pissed me off when they added the difficulty slider because so many people are now going to go through and do that. One of the things that I really like looking at, this doesn't sound very nice, but I love seeing how far the percentages are of people who get the achievements in different Soulsborne or Souls-like games. You can see how far people have made it when you see that 60% of players have finished Elden Ring and gotten this one ending, but 40% of players have beat Melania Blade of Mikola. And so I'm like, okay, so there are people who finished the game and just skipped Melania. Maybe she was too difficult. Maybe she wasn't. You know, maybe they just didn't want to do that. Who knows? But I find it really fun looking at the stats and seeing what people wanted to do, what people didn't want to do, and how hard people found it. And who was willing to put in the time to try and get good. And I just think that with Lies of P adding difficulty slider, it was kind of just a bit of a cop-out, because I'm like, no, you committed to making this beautiful game that is supposed to train you to be good enough at all these things that by the time you get to the final boss, you are prepared. I didn't follow their training, and I didn't learn to parry until the last boss, so I had a terrible time, but I did it. And I think that it ruins the vision. I think that accessibility is a completely different conversation in terms of people who have a disability, and I'm sure there are workarounds that can be built to put in. I would love for those modes to be created and inserted for people who actually require it. I think that everyone has the capability to get good, regardless of like what you got going on. So I think that don't dumb yourself down and be like, I'm incapable of doing this. You know, you either want to try or you don't want to try. And Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Lies of P are all games about getting back up and trying again. And like, here's how you
just
never
like
give
school.
Up.
Everyone's capable of getting good grades. It's just some people it'll be a harder journey than others, and that's okay. But it's like, to me, it's kind of like, imagine if I was like, okay, I want to go play soccer or football, as you English people call it. I want to go play this sport, right? I'm very unathletic. I'm getting a little older. My knee's starting to hurt. And I went onto the soccer field with fucking, who's the big soccer guy who's like the GOAT or whatever, Messi. And I went onto the field with Messi and his team, and they were whipping my fucking ass, and I was like, no, actually, I think you guys need to leave and like bring in some like older people, bring in some people more my fitness level. Then I'll play, because then it's fair. And it's like, no, you signed up to go play this sport, and now you're telling them that they need to be less athletic so that you can have fun? Nah, dude, get the fuck out of the sport. What are you talking about? Like, you can't just tell people they have to cater to you at every whim. I'm sorry, everyone thinks they're the main character. You're not that important, dog. It's not for you. Go play.
You're not that
else.
guy.
No.
You're not that guy, bro.
You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. Every game doesn't have to cater to you.
I think that's
okay?
one of the internet's hottest takes, and it's one of the ones I disagree with vehemently. So,
any thoughts, Sam? I know you haven't played these games, but like difficulty in games in general, right? Difficulty / should every game have a difficulty option, that kind of thing?
It depends what the game is. Souls games, no.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. From a man who doesn't play them
The
because he knows
there's reason why they're notoriously
and I want it noted
hard,
that
you know? They're there for people who want to challenge.
Yes, and why they're
I
popular.
think my opinion is that Dark Souls and From Software as a whole would never have gotten as big as they were if they didn't make those games brutally hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because what do people remember about Dark Souls 1 when it came out? It was fucking hard. They literally came out, their like edition that they came out years later was Prepared to Die edition. That's part of the market appeal. If you take that away, I don't think it sells as much. And I don't think they become as big as they are.
Yeah.
So that's part of their vision artistically, and it's also part of their success. And I think taking that away is ridiculous.
And for anybody who, doesn't think it's for them, I didn't like them. I actually hated them. I refused to play them. I did Dark Souls 1, made it to like the third boss, and was like, hate this. Played Jedi Fallen Order, fell in love with it, and I was like, this is kind of like baby's first Dark Souls, okay. And then I went, okay, Elden Ring, let's see how this goes, because it's a nice open world, gives you space to move around and try and breathe and practice. And by the end of that game, best game I've ever played, or one of them anyway.
And again, it's okay.
So you know what? Maybe just haven't.
It's
finally
okay
found the right
if it's
one.
not.
Yeah.
Sometimes again,
but
not every game.
never know.
Can we talk about people saying this game isn't for everyone? No shit. That's just a fact. Every single person knows this. Not every game is for everybody. There is not a single game on this planet Earth that is for everybody. Okay? That's just a fact. All right? So can we stop saying that? I'm so tired of people saying that. It's like, no shit, it's not for everybody. Shut the fuck up. Give me a real point, okay? So yes. Cool.
Yeah.
Rant over.